Hey everyone, welcome to the Book Barn. I'm Laisha.
And I'm Lainey.
And a few weeks ago, we had a visit with a special guest. She describes herself as a mom, a content creator, and a RomCom author.
We had a great visit.
We sure did. And so everyone, here's that conversation. Today we welcome author Michelle Lynn Ross to the Book Barn.
Hi. So I'm really glad you were able to come today.
And Lainey and I just finished your debut novel, There's No Place Like Home. And wow, what a delightful read.
Oh, thank you.
It was familiar in a good way, very Southeast Kansas.
Yeah, I thought that it kind of felt like a warm hug from Southeast Kansas, just all those things that we're familiar with. And I love that it was set in the fictional town of Fawn Creek.
I did look that up, and I saw that it was a township. Is that where you got the name?
Yes, it is just down the road from my house. And I thought, what a better way to use a little, not really fake town, but a town that isn't really a community. And then Owen, which is another town that makes an appearance, that's also a town that used to be in between Caney and Bartlesville.
Oh, wow.
And that one doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, gotcha.
So I took that name too.
Nice.
So speaking of Caney,
Uh-huh.
you are just a little bit down the road from us, about 30 minutes. I've always thought of Caney as a bit of a rival to Cherryville. Those Caney girls used to be really rough on the basketball court. That's what I remember.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about where you grew up.
So I grew up in Caney. I don't live there now. I live in Tyro, so just down the road. But I have fond memories of Caney from when I was a kid, when we could walk everywhere and you didn't have to worry about your kids riding their bike across town.
Right.
And you could go down and eat dinner at a restaurant or go to a store. And it's not really like that necessarily anymore. There's not a lot of businesses in town anymore. So I wanted to take those pieces that I enjoyed and kind of mold them into a fictional town.
Yeah,
I like that.
Great inspiration.
So as a child, what did you aspire to do when you grew up?
I have always wanted to write. I loved reading. I was, one of those kids that had to earn the free pizza in class all the time. I just loved reading. I went through all the Babysitter's Club books and I thought, oh yeah, I'm going to write one day. But I never was totally sure how I would write. I really thought I would get into journalism. That was my plan. But then, plans don't always work out.
Yeah, I was going to be a fashion designer when I grew up. So I understand. Yeah.
I think I was just always going to be a teacher, I think.
Yeah. So when did you first realize that, I'm going to write a book? I mean, when did you think that could happen?
That had always kind of been in the back of my mind. I always thought it was going to be nonfiction, like Mom Life or, that kind of thing. But about 3 years ago, I started to really get into reading again. My life had slowed down. My kids were getting older. I finally had time to sit down and read a book and relax. And I thought, I want to do this. So I just sat down and thought, okay, I'm going to start writing this scene. I'll write a scene and see where it takes me. Then it just kind of grew from there.
So we would really like for you to tell our listeners a little bit about your book, There's No Place Like Home. Only tell us what you want the listeners to hear.
Okay.
Yeah, so probably no spoilers, I assume, because you would like for them to read it.
Yes, I would. So There's No Place Like Home is a story that follows a woman that grew up in a small town in Kansas. And like I think many of us, she just couldn't wait to grow up and get out and go see the world and just break away from her hometown. But what she finds out is that life isn't exactly what she imagined that it would be. She didn't have all of the joy that she thought she would get from leaving. And then suddenly life goes upside down and she ends up being thrown right back into her hometown. And in time, she finds that maybe home isn't that bad after all. Maybe her community isn't the worst thing that she could be wrapped up in.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, do you have a particular writing process or a routine that you kind of follow along, or how do you get going when you know you want to start a book?
Well, right now it's a lot easier because I'm working on a series, so I know which character I'm working on next. So I kind of have the idea lined out with the previous book. But really, I have just found that I have to sit down and write, and it may not be anything like what it'll end up being in the end. But just sit down and get it all out and then start the process of edits. So, I just finished my first draft of my third book. And now I am going through and combing through and trying to make my changes and trying to make everything fit together. So it'll probably take 4 or 5 drafts before I really get it to where I want it to be.
Sure.
So any other challenges that kind of keep you from getting done what you plan to do?
I think I find that I'm not a planner, so I'm not great at sitting down and writing out an outline of what exactly I want to do. I just have to kind of let my characters decide what they feel like doing. And then I have to sit down and rope them all in and get them into a line where it's a story that makes sense to someone besides them.
I did want to say, without giving any spoilers, that there really were a few spots in there that kind of surprised me. But, I don't want to give that away, but you've compared it to a Hallmark style storyline. So I think we all know that we have a happy ending.
Yes.
So.
I think my favorite character was Grandma Hazel, even though she was gone from the very beginning of the book. But I just like those older characters. So
me too. And she was another one that, when I started all of this, she didn't exist. And she ended up, in the story after maybe 2 or 3 rewrites. And it was I hopped on Facebook and said, okay, someone name a grandma for me. And one of my friends suggested Hazel, and she was born from there. But I love her.
Nice.
Yeah. A little eclectic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I have heard other authors talk about, how they write. And I've heard several of them say that they don't really even know their characters until they just get going and they meet them as they write, and they learn about them, and they just kind of develop as the story goes. So you don't really know where the plot's going to take you. I've thought about trying. I have no true desire really, but I'm like, if I were to write a book, how would I go about it? And I'm just at a total loss, so I don't.
You even asked me if I wanted to co-author something. I'm like, I don't know.
You never know. Yeah. It could end up being really cool.
We'll just podcast and tell about your stories.
Okay.
Honestly, I think it would be fun to try and do a children's book.
Okay. Yes, that would be fun.
Yeah. Michelle says yes. She's shaking her head.
Yes.
Have you done that?
No, I want to. I love kids' books. I have a degree in early childhood, so that's kind of, like reading children's books, reading to kids is something that I love to do anyway. And I would really like to write a children's book, but I don't know. I have no ideas. So it's just out there.
Let's see,
one day.
Were there any pets in this book?
Well, there was the rooster.
The rooster.
Oh, yes.
Ooh, rooster could have a whole children's story right there from Mr. Rooster.
It's been on my mind.
We never did figure out where he came from, did we?
No, he just
showed
He was
up.
so random. I don't even know.
Did he represent anything? Not really?
No,
just there.
He just showed up.
Like life, just the way it goes, right? Sometimes things just happen.
Yes.
Okay. So in the book, Tyler, she insists that she would never again live in her hometown. And I know you just spoke about that, but I think that's a common thing in especially our small towns in Southeast Kansas. Do you have any thoughts of why that is?
She sprung it on you, didn't she?
I did. I did. And, we know that there's not a lot of jobs around here.
Right. For sure.
So that's part of it.
Yes. And it maybe just not a lot of opportunities. There's a whole big world out there, and we're right in the middle. I know for me, I didn't travel as a kid. I had never been further than Topeka, probably, until I was in my 20s. So that was the thing that was heavy on my mind when I was early 20s was, I have to go. I need to get out of here. I need to go this way and that way. And I still have a bit of a travel bug, but I have come to realize that living here isn't too bad as long as you can go out and see things. And then you have a good home base to come back to, somewhere where you are safe and you know people and you have a community to take care of you. And I don't know. There's a lot to see.
I've never lived anywhere else.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. We've discussed this before that we've never moved away. Have you lived anywhere else?
I lived in the DFW Metroplex for about 3 months.
Oh, okay.
And I was so glad to come back home. Just city living was not for me. When I was much younger, like teenage years, I thought, I'm going to move to the city. I am going to live in an apartment. I'm going to work for a magazine or a newspaper, and I'm not going to have kids, and I'm not going to have a husband. And I was wrong.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3, all girls, 22, 18, and 8.
Wow.
The last one was not an accident. We did that on purpose, and we are probably crazy for that. But here we are.
Yeah.
So Tyler, let's see. Yes, Tyler does return to Fawn Creek when her boyfriend, Elliot, I did not like him.
Me neither.
He drops this bomb on him that there's not going to be a marriage. There's not going to be children. And so she does find comfort with that BF of hers, Avery, and then that boy next door, Andrew. Oh my goodness. Are any of these people inspired by real people?
A lot of the characters have a lot of characteristics of people that I know. Tyler has a lot of me, but also not. Andrew has a few aspects of my husband, but not. Avery has a lot of one of my best friends, but also, there's a lot of things that aren't the same. But I feel like all of my characters, as I go along, all of my main characters have a little bit of me in them. The whole I've lived 1,000 lives kind of situation. I'm like, oh, well, this would be me if I opened a bookstore. The next character would be me if I got really into fashion and, that kind of thing. Maybe I'm living out my dream lives that I can't necessarily live out because I'm living this one.
Yeah. Well, that's the great thing about fiction.
Yes.
You can go anywhere, be anyone. Yeah.
Do it all.
Yeah, that's right. So the story begins at the funeral of Tyler's grandmother, and it was kind of heartbreaking and heartwarming all at the same time because Tyler's grandmother encouraged her to chase her dreams, one of which was to own a bookstore. And we've discussed that dream ourselves. What about you?
I would love to do that. If I had infinite amounts of money,
right,
that would be what I would do. The whole bookstore thing really came into the story because there was a building for sale in Caney. There's no way, it was for sale for like $7,000. So you can only imagine the amount of work that would have been needed. But it was nice to be able to dream about what if I was able to pick that up? What if I was able to do this with my life? So,
yeah, I think a lot of book lovers probably fantasize about being a bookshop owner.
Yes.
But do you think that in our small towns, it would make a profit? Do you think it's even doable?
I think that anything is possible. I think that you have to make sure that you're filling a need in the community. So I don't know how much Cherryville has going on, but if they needed a coffee shop, also have a coffee shop in there. If they needed a little diner, have that kind of a combination, or an event space or something else that will bring in money besides just books.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't
You got to
know.
sell a lot of books to make some.
a
whole lot of books. Yeah. And it's just, we don't have that many in our community, but
We don't.
yeah, if you made it multi-purpose,
Maybe.
it's possible.
I saw an article in, I think it was in our paper, that forever ago there used to be a cigar bookshop. They sold cigars and books.
Yeah.
That's a crazy combo.
How fun to think about, huh?
Right.
'Cause her husband is
He
big,
likes cigars.
likes his cigars. So yeah,
So there you go. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, and before, speaking of our newspaper, we need to give a shout out to the Montgomery County Chronicle, right? Because Andy Taylor did such a nice job giving us a front page story.
I was so shocked to see us on the front page.
That was so sweet. Thank you, Andy. We really appreciated that. That was wonderful.
It was great. And we were at the Maker's Market, and the weather was terrible. So bad. And very few people came, but it was all worth it because we met you,
Yes.
and then Andy came, and
Yeah.
just great.
It was a good day.
Speaking of weather,
Yes.
okay. So Lainey had marked a spot in your book, Michelle. And if you don't mind reading, this is so Kansas. And we would love for you to read that little bit.
Okay. In Kansas, the weather is unpredictable at any time of year. But in the fall, you just never know. It can be anywhere from 70 degrees and sunny to thunderstorms to a snowstorm. We regularly experience every season over the course of a weekend, so it was a bit of a gamble.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had that. I mean, it's the springtime now, not fall, but again, we
Spring
did.
and fall
We
are
had-
just the same, really,
Well,
I feel like.
What was it? It was just like a matter of 2 days, and we were
Like -7.
and then 70.
70.
We had like a 70-degree difference in just a matter of days.
Which is why my voice is just terrible. And I apologize. This is my third time since June that my voice has just decided to get all gravelly. So
Yeah, she kind of crackles a little bit.
not good. Not
Makes you
good.
artistic sounding.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe that's it. I just think
Mysterious, yes.
Mother Nature's a little grouchy right now.
I guess. I don't know. And then this coming week is supposed to be all 70s, but
I saw 79 one day.
Well, I'm going to love that. But yeah, it's kind of crazy when we're just going back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, so your paragraph was very accurate of Kansas weather. So we do have some rapid fire questions that we want to ask you, if you're up for that.
I'm up for it.
Okay, well, first up we have, what was the last book that you read purely for pleasure?
So right now I am reading a rom-com called The Love of My Afterlife by Kirsty Greenwood. I love it.
Good.
She's from England, so it reminds me kind of Sophie Kinsella. I really got into her books when I was younger, so.
We'll have to check those out.
We will. Oh, and I'm going to sneak in another one real quick. So you're a rom-com author. Yes. If you were to jump genres, what do you think you'd do?
Oh. I would like to think that I would be smart enough to write a cozy mystery, but I don't know if I could get away with any kind of crime. I don't know if I'm smart enough to do that.
I'm sure you are.
So are there any other authors that inspire you?
I love Emily Henry. I love Abby Jimenez. I never say her name right. And Lucy Score. Really love them.
All right. Favorite day of the week?
Maybe Saturday. We don't seem to generally have too much going on those days.
Okay, this is the best question of all of them. Who's your favorite Harry Potter character?
I've never read any Harry Potter books.
That's what I said. What if she hasn't read it?
Boo.
Guess what, Michelle? I haven't either. But that's Lainey's favorite book.
I'm so sorry.
Okay,
No,
Lainey.
I'm not offended.
Okay, Lainey, give us yours then, just so we...
Oh, my favorite. There are so many. Hagrid is amazing. I like Tonks. I like so many.
All right. Well, we'll move along, okay?
Yes. Okay. This is another good one. It comes from your book. Do you truly love chili with cinnamon rolls?
I do.
Me too.
My best friend, my husband, and I were having a conversation about chili and cinnamon rolls one day, and they were both telling me that we used to have them at school.
Every time we had chili, we had cinnamon rolls.
I don't remember that.
I don't either. I don't remember eating them together.
I definitely didn't eat them together.
I did.
But then after we had that conversation, I was like, okay, we're doing that this weekend. And now that's the only way I'll eat chili. So
do you you actually scoop it with the cinnamon roll?
I'll put the cinnamon roll in a bowl and put chili on top of it, or tear it and scoop it. But
very Southeast Kansas.
Yeah, I guess. But I've never done that. Now I have had cinnamon rolls alongside chili and I eat that as a dessert, but I truly haven't. But I do like sweet and savory together. So I'll probably give it a try.
Might have to try it.
Okay, I have one more.
Okay.
So, do you drink magic bean juice? Boy, that sounded terrible. We'll redo that one. That might be a good outtake, right? Do you drink magic bean juice?
You can't.
Or do you drink tea?
I like both. I have just recently kind of gotten into the tea thing. I tell everybody that's I'm moving into my grandma era. So I am sitting and drinking hot tea in the afternoon, but I do love coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
I like coffee too, but I try and do tea occasionally when I'm wanting something warm without some caffeine in it.
I do both.
Yeah.
And did you say you're going to be a grandma?
No.
Oh, okay. No.
Not yet. One day, I hope. But I am just leaning into grandma hobbies, reading, and I'm like, man, I really think I want to pick up cross stitching and hot tea. And I've, went and got myself a porch goose that I've been dressing up on my porch, and that's been just kind of a funny thing that we make fun of.
That was in the book, wasn't it?
Yes.
Very fun. I did think about doing that after I read about it.
Yes, it's a whole movement, I guess. I'm in a Facebook group with thousands and thousands of people that have porch geese.
Oh, funny. Yeah, I hadn't really heard of them until your book, but then I do think I remember after reading it, I saw an article on it or something where someone was selling them or something.
We could be creative and make it a different animal.
You could.
And dress it up. Okay. Well, we wish you the very best.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for spending time with us. And we want to encourage everyone to pick up a copy of There's No Place Like Home, or Michelle's second book, Small Town Famous. Do you have the title of your third already?
Yes. Single in a Small Town will be the third one.
Single in a Small Town. Okay. Well, we look forward to reading that one too.
Thank you.
So where can everyone find copies?
Okay, so they are on Amazon.
Okay.
They are both ebooks and paperbacks on there. I sell signed paperbacks at Myrtles Market in Caney in my booth. And then I also really try to do a local event once a month. The best way to find me is to follow me on my Facebook. It's Michelle Lynn Ross Writer, or one of my other social medias, I'm Michelle Lynn Ross Writes on Instagram, or That's What Shell Said on TikTok.
Okay.
And we could probably put that at the bottom.
Yep, we can put those in our show notes.
Perfect.
Hello, Amanda.
Hello.
So we asked you to read this book along with us, and you agreed to give us your thoughts on it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I was thrilled when I was asked to read No Place Like Home by Michelle Lynn Ross. It was a lighthearted, quick read. I love that I was able to experience it near Valentine's Day. I feel like there are many women out there just like Tyler. I generally felt sorry for her when she had to be somebody that she wasn't in the city. But we did watch her bloom throughout the book and understand how important family really is. And it didn't really hurt that the man next door is probably everyone's dream guy, because being the snake catcher and the rock hard abs, Even though the book is somewhat predictable, I had two main takeaways. Don't ever give up on your dreams, and never settle because you are worth it. So Help a small town girl out and read No Place Like Home by Michelle Lynn Ross.
Thank you. That was a great review. So until next time, everyone, I'm Laisha.
And I'm Lainey.
And keep your bookmarks busy.